released a new show last Friday, voiced by the wonderful Jeff Platt, called The Championship Run, in which we show 5 hands that brought Chris Moneymaker the championship back in 2003. So 5 iconic moments that I love to relive. And if you're watching this right now, know that you can find this on PokerGO. The Championship Run has those moments that you have been craving. And then the hand in question is the hand versus Phil Ivey, where Moneymaker, of course, rivers a bigger full house and sends Ivey wearing the Francis jersey to the rail.
All in.
He is all in.
All in.
And quickly called.
The pot size is $1 million now.
9's full for Phil
Yeah,
Ivey.
Moneymaker is disgusted. He never could have assumed the 2 9s in the hole for Phil Ivey. And now he is going to need an ace, a queen, or a 6 on the river to win the hand, which would knock out Phil Ivey.
Moneymaker's looking for an ace on the river. Or another queen. Here we go. We're going to see one more card. It's an ace!
An ace!
An incredible knockout blow for probably the best player left in the tournament, who's gone down.
Oh, amazing. Phil Ivey loses with a full house to a better full house of Chris Moneymaker.
Iconic poker moment. If poker had a Hall of Fame of moments, this would be one of those moments. And my response to that moment is that moment was the most important river card in poker history because it set up Moneymaker to win the 03 main event that catapulted us into now. We are now, 16, 17 years later doing this podcast about poker. So that is sort of the runway for this segment, Brent. And now you said to me, I have a take on this. I disagree with this. So I'm very curious to hear. And then Nate, I want you to figure this out with Brent because I'm pretty sure that I'm on the other side of this.
Let me begin by saying I think that Chris Moneymaker is a tremendous asset to the entire industry. He's a great ambassador, and I am thrilled with how everything unfolded. The Moneymaker effect is real. However, if that river card had been a brick, and if Phil Ivey had taken an overwhelming chip lead and Moneymaker packed his bags and he was out in 10th place, and Phil Ivey defeated Sammy Farha heads up to win the main event, the Ivey effect would have been tenfold greater for this entire industry.
Shut the fuck up, Brent. You're an idiot. Wait, Remco, can we kick him off the podcast?
We could.
I'm not joking.
We could.
We need to... Brent, apologize for what you just said.
The Ivey effect would have been larger, greater, and more significant. The Moneymaker story would still have been a story. In fact, I think we should call it really the Eskandani effect. You've got your villain in Sammy Farha. By the way, no one talks about Sammy Farha enough. Sammy Farha, with the cigarette dangling out of the mouth, is your perfect villain. You're perfect, the guy that has to lose. And I'm saying that if Phil Ivey beat Sammy Farha heads up as the ultimate hero for this game and continued down the path, the legacy of Ivey, which he's already iconic. He's already going to be the greatest first deck ever. Ivey would have had a larger and greater impact on this entire industry. That's my take.
Nate, the floor is yours.
Remco, the fact that you have to do a show with this moron every week blows my mind. What he just said is without a doubt the dumbest thing ever spoken into a microphone. I honestly do not think Brent actually believes that. I think he's playing devil's advocate because I think Brent is a smart person and any smart person would not actually believe that. So I do think he's playing devil's advocate. That being said, to his point that for the sake of the show, we're going to pretend he actually believes. I mean, I don't...
I've yet to hear like a why out of you. Just
let me.
Okay, let me go. I got it.
Okay.
We know the Moneymaker story, and I agree with you. He's the nicest person I've ever had on the podcast. He's funny. He's humble. He's down to earth. He seems like, I've never met him. He seems like the greatest human being in the world. People always ask, who's one guy you want to play poker with that you've never played with? Chris Moneymaker. No question about it. He was the accountant from Tennessee. He got in the $27 satellite. He had the last name Moneymaker. He looks like every guy from the Midwest that you've ever met. He was the absolute perfect person to start the poker boom. And the fact that he qualified on PokerStars is the most under-talked about part of it because people then realized PokerStars is a legitimate site We can qualify for the World Series of Poker main event on it. And that sparked the internet boom to me. Not only the poker boom, but the fact that Ivey then did the full tilt thing. Moneymaker, the face of Poker Stars. And now we have WWE, WCW, full tilt Poker Stars. That's the most important part of this entire thing is, and also Moneymaker said that when he was at the final table, he asked for equity in Poker Stars and they turned him down and they gave him like $3,000 instead. And he's like, all right, I guess. And so it's like he really went for the moon and he got a buffet coupon instead. I respect him asking for equity and have the wherewithal back in that time to ask for equity in like a up and coming poker site. Really, really smart. But no, Ivey was already established when he finished 10th. That's the thing. Like he probably had $5 million on sports betting at that time. He is not the guy who's ever going to be the face of anything. He cares about making money and that's it. He doesn't care about going on, the David Letterman show. Moneymaker went on the David Letterman show a week after that main event. Ivey would have just said no. He doesn't care about that kind of thing.
I don't think any of that's true. And also, 2003, Ivey was not established as the greatest player in the world. He did not have his legacy when he was wearing the Steve Francis jersey. None of that's true. And what you're missing, yes, I totally agree. Chris Moneymaker, the common man, the accountant from Tennessee, he's got his debt to his bookie, everything we can relate to. But we're not thinking about the other people that would have seen Phil Ivey win the main event, the largest, grandest stage on ESPN at the time. You're trying to tell me that Stuart Scott during his prime wasn't going to go nuts with that story? I totally disagree with that, and I think we're forgetting about all the other folks that would have come along for the journey and come along for the ride with poker. I think it would have been, if not equally, but much greater and more significant for the industry if Phil Ivey would have won the main event that year. The Moneymaker story doesn't necessarily change. You can still put that narrative together, and that's what ESPN and Poker Productions and Maury Escandani's team so well with miking up his dad and his mom in the crowd.
Let me cut you off.
Are you bluffing here?
A pro winning a poker tournament does not have the same effect as an amateur winning a poker tournament to the amateur crowd. When Moneymaker won as an amateur, it meant, oh, he won. That means I can win. I'm going to go put $50 on Poker Stars. When you see a pro win, all you're thinking is, well, I guess I can't beat the pros. Why would I even try? Moneymaker hitting that river and being the amateur that took down the pros is so much more important than anything has ever happened in poker.
I will not disagree with that point. I think an amateur winning the main event is tremendous and great news. It continues to happen. Jerry Yang, Darvin Moon got second, but Dennis Phillips, the trucker, this is going to continue to happen. That doesn't change the industry. That doesn't make it greater. Yes, it's a great narrative. It's a story we can continue to tell. I mean, but all that is inevitable. Right. Phil Ivey, the icon, we've never had the icon win the greatest tournament of all time on ESPN during the boom on the rise, which, by the way, the internet boom was inevitable. That was going to happen.
So what you're saying, Brent, is that Greg Raymer, who won the following year, would have been the moneymaker in that sort of context if Ivey just would have ended up winning in 2003. I really, really disagree with this take, Brent, because what I think is one of the crucial things to remember here is that Moneymaker boosted the platform and all the personalities that were already in the game to such incredible heights because of his victory and because of how relatable he made the game of poker that it's impossible to say what would have happened if Ivey would have been that guy, because like Nate was saying, that if Ivey wins the main event, it is a professional winning the main event, and sure, poker would have kept on growing because of the access to online poker. I don't doubt that for a second. I do think, though, that this anchor point of Moneymaker winning the main event is crucial to Ivey's status in the game, because Ivey then showed off in every single tournament all around the World Poker Tour booming and all these other events going on, that he was indeed the best in the world. That narrative doesn't change whether he wins the main event or not. Ivey is going to be a superstar no matter what. I think that the crucial moment in time is the fact that Moneymaker was there to give everyone else the platform that poker turned into. So I think that Moneymaker was indeed crucial to winning it in that moment in time against that lineup, against Semi Farha. All these characters feel as though they were cast for these roles, and the way it played out feels like a movie, and I can watch that movie time and time again because the 2003 main event final table remains to be the one most iconic broadcast in poker history.